In this video, what we're going to do is go over the field driver tag in Cinema 4D. This is a great way to add MoGraph-like animation or utilize fields to control a number of different properties. Let's go ahead and get started. So originally made by Rocket Lasso before being incorporated into Cinema 4D, the field driver, which you can find in a couple of different places, either from the tags menu, and it's right there, or by right-clicking an individual property and choosing field driver and going with one of the options there, really allows us to add MoGraph-like functionality, or more specifically, use fields to control other properties on objects. So I kind of think of it like MoGraph Lite, though it does allow us to do things we couldn't do with MoGraph as well. So just to kind of give us an idea of some of the things we can do with it, I have some examples here. Let's just start super basic. If we wanted to control the overall height of an object using a field, well, you can right click on it, go to field driver, and choose add. Now what happens is a field driver tag gets added, and what you need to do is go to the parameters tab and set a minimum and maximum value. Okay, so I could say maybe I want this to be, 126, maximum of whatever, and then go to fields and add a field. And so I could use, say, a linear field. And now as I pull this through, we're going to see that field get applied, and it's going to change that property. I'm using a field to drive the animation or change in whatever property I have listed here. Now notice in the parameters tab, you can have this linked to multiple parameters. So you can click add parameter. And I also want to point out it works on other tags. So we are seeing the object and all of its properties here. We're also seeing our Fong tag. And so that can be important for expanding the functionality of what we can do with the field driver tag. Now really quickly, if you didn't add it by right-clicking on a property, for whatever reason you added it through the tag, which I've done before, you just click add property and you go back to that same kind of option that we've seen before when trying to add multiple properties, and you can find it right in there. So super helpful. Okay, and I think when you combine this with other options and working with multiple properties, that's where field driver really starts to shine. So here I have an example. I've done this previously, though not with field driver. Using this candle here, we're going to drive, say, the animation on the flame, as well as the intensity of a light. We're going to be able to do it a lot easier before. Previously, we may have to make custom user data, use expressions or Expresso to, set driver, set driven in order to create some random animation. But now with fields, it's much easier to do. So the first thing I'm going to do, I guess we can keep, the axis there, but is on our sphere. Make sure we find the property I want. Okay. And it can even be in our position tab here. So maybe that isn't quite where I want it, but we can make that work. You can right click on it, go to field driver. I know this is probably cut off your screen, but I'm just choosing the add option. And now back in the field driver, you can see the tag looks a little bit different. For right now, I can set a minimum for the scale. So why don't we just go like 0.5 and 1.5. Okay, come here to fields. Now, rather than choose a linear field, which we absolutely could do, and we can see that's going up and down, what if I used a random field? Okay, and in that random field, I increase the animation speed. Okay, and now this is going up and down a little bit. I may want the speed to be a lot higher. So why don't we go 500%? Now we're getting a little bit of flickering. Okay. Absolutely should have moved the axis down on this object. So why don't we go ahead and do that? Perfect. And now we have that moving up and down. Now what you can do is, if we wanted to kind of add this same functionality to a light, create an area light. Okay, I'm going to switch the shape here to sphere and move this, not so much the size, although it is something I will want to do, but place this right above this. Right, so we can kind of see this a little bit. And just take this, put it in here. We can add a field driver tag to this. So same thing, find the property you want to drive, even on a light, right click on it, field driver, add. Okay, now we did add a tag. Notice the icon looks different. And what we can do is just reuse that random field. So I can take that random field and just drop it in there. And if I go to the parameters of our field driver tag, I can see intensity listed here. So maybe I'd want minimum 100, maximum, just so we can see this. Will it go up to 1,000? I can't remember. It's been, it seems like it can. For greater change, you would absolutely want to go with exposure value, but intensity, probably something a little bit more similar. And yes, now we have flickering. Now, are those values changing fast enough yet? Maybe not. Working with our noise field here, random field could help. Maybe making it smaller, which I actually don't know if that changes the actual size, but making the scale smaller can absolutely help. Increasing our animation speed, okay? And what's great is we can also make this loop if you put in the amount of frames you want it to loop. Although just having it go on like this can be very helpful. And so by doing this, we're able to simplify the setup. And if we do need to make a change, say to the speed or anything like that, just like I've been doing, it's in my field since that's what's driving my animation. All right, so that's a little bit more of a practical example and one how you can work with, multiple objects, but I got one more, okay? And in some ways it's similar, but I do think it'll give us a chance to kind of see some other ways we can use this with multiple objects and not using the random field, although it can be fun to use the random field for something like this. So at the moment, I just have some cubes placed in a cloner. I tapered them and I've added a bend deformer. Okay, now there are absolutely different ways you could do this. This is just utilizing the field driver. And what I would need to do here is make this editable. Okay, and that is kind of the one thing I don't like is that, we can't really use a cloner with this, or at least not that I found yet. And I made a lot more objects, which turns out was not a great idea for this because now I have all of these objects. But what you can do isn't there a way I can just collapse all somewhere? I think maybe view, fold all. There we go. That should help. And I can select all these objects at once. I can add my field driver at once. Actually, I take it back. I'm not going to do all of them at once. I'm going to just do one because what I want to do is actually apply this to the bend. Okay, so remember, any object can have this applied. So I can do strength, field driver, add. And so now I have this. And I could do the same thing. Maximum, minimum. I don't think I really want that to go to, 180. I can add, say, something like a random field. In this case, I'll create a linear field. Okay. And you can see now I'm able to kind of control the bend here with this linear field. Now, the trick is we now have to apply this same field driver to all of our bends. And what I'm going to do to help this is just search for all of these bends. And I'm sure there's a way to copy all of these out quicker, but I'm just holding control and dragging down. Right? Perhaps I could do this all at once. Let's see. Let's try that. That may be a little bit faster. If I select all the bends, now I can add my field driver tag. Perfect. And let's see if I select that tag, go into the parameters. Perfect. Set this to 0. Mixed can be, or the height, the max we can do, let's just do like 70. And field. And do I still have my linear field? I do. So what I'll do is just drag it in there. And it looks like it's applying to all of them. So I no longer need that field there. But yeah, now we have this single linear field controlling all of these. And what's nice about this is if I decided to do something different, say a spherical field, being able to change this field shape is very nice. because it's still associated and applied to our field driver, but I'm able to make all these changes, right? And apply this in a really kind of interesting way. Okay. But doing this with a bend, right, is something that would be much harder to do with just regular MoGraph. But with the field driver tag, we can do it that way. And my favorite is going back to that random field, because it's going to randomly apply the bend now. Okay. And once again, increase our animation speed. We almost get kind of like grass blowing in the wind. Now, I'm not sure I would recommend doing something like this for a field of grass, but, you know, for a few little pieces of whether it's grass or bamboo or some other kind of shape, you know, being able to get randomized animation on a bend is something that I'm not sure I can think of a better way to do it, or a different way to do it than what we're seeing. Actually, I take it back. I can't think of a different way of doing it, but I would have to manually set up each one or change the seed values of, like, you know, a vibrate tag that was linked to the bend prop, the strength. So something a little bit more in depth. So this is the field driver, and I think it's super useful. That will do it for this one. If there's anything else you would like to see, please leave me a comment down below. And if you found this video helpful, I'd appreciate it if you could like it and subscribe to my channel. Until next time, take care.